This is the Hollywood Outsider, weekly entertainment podcast. For this week, we're going to look at upcoming releases, including G.I. Joe Retaliation, The Host, and Tyler Perry's Temptation. Review Camp, The Incredible Burt, Wonderstone, and The Call. Our From the Outside In topic this week, we're going to talk about independent directors being handed the reins of large franchises, and a little bit more on a topic we touched on last week. We're going to have the latest movie and TV news, as always, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow hosts, Scotty Clark.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Absolutely fantastic. Brian Williams.
What's up?
And Justin Syphilis McCumber.
What is up, man?
Not much.
So, Aaron, I got to ask you. I pulled up in here tonight to record, and actually a couple days ago I pulled in, and there was a baby sock.
A couple days ago, you pulled into my house.
Yeah, because my wife made you cupcakes. Remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And there's a baby sock in your front yard.
She tell you why she made me cupcakes?
And then today I pull in, and there's a minivan in your driveway. Is there something that you want to share with us, or?
No, but you didn't see a foot, did you? Evidence gone. Why do you fucking keep coming over to my house when Justin? How are you?
Checking up on your wife.
That's fine.
Making sure she's all right.
I was checking up on his. That's why I got cupcakes.
How'd your kids? How'd your wife? How'd your kids?
Justin, tell everybody that you're dying.
Well, hopefully I'm on the upswing. If we'd have been recording this yesterday, one, I'd be sleeping right now. But two, I would have sounded even worse than I sound right now. Hopefully I'm getting better, though. It's hard, getting rid of that syphilis, but just doing what I can.
They make a cream for that.
I don't think
I know. You're rubbing it in tonight, right?
No.
Oh. All right. First off, did you guys hear Paramount is developing a sequel? Brian, this will hit you. Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters, they're getting a sequel. More Gemma all the time.
That doesn't sound like a bad thing.
No, it doesn't sound like a bad thing.
I mean, this was one of those that I really kind of probably went in with lower expectations than most of you guys, but it was surprisingly good. So it is, I guess, kind of primed for at least one more follow-up movie, maybe two. I mean, it kind of seems to be the thing is trilogies. So as long as they do a halfway decent, make a halfway decent money back on this one, I'm sure a third one's set up. So,
now, do we know, is Renner going to be in this one?
Well, I assume if they're going to have Hansel and Gretel, they got to have Hansel.
Well, from what I understand, they filmed this one a while ago before the Jeremy Renner star was quite on its, rise. So I didn't know if they were going to be able to convince him to come back and do another one of these or just recast the role.
Yeah, otherwise they'd have to call the movie Gretel, spoiler alert.
Gretel in leather. Tickets sold. I'll buy two.
Gemma Arterton, I just pay to see her or whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah?
Yeah. And Jeremy Renner, I mean, he's pretty much interchangeable, isn't he? Apparently you can interchange him with Matt Damon pretty easy.
Was he like the Lego of actors?
He's the same guy in every movie.
Pretty much.
He needs to jazz himself up a little bit.
He's the duct tape of Hollywood.
And also, we had an interview with Camp, which we're going to be reviewing that movie a little later. But Camp director Jacob Roebuck, so you can find that on the website.
Oh, I thought we had an interview with the movie Camp. That's what it sounded like you were saying.
What?
It did. You said we had an interview with Camp.
Then stopped.
Oh, sorry.
I like Lamp.
I love Lamp.
Kate Beckinsale has signed on to Eliza Graves, playing the title character, and she'll play a doctor who takes a job at an insane asylum, only to find out the asylum has been overtaken by the patients.
Yeah, this is actually based on one of Edgar Allan Poe's lesser-known short stories called The System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather. And I actually read a write-up of that short story because I had never heard of it. And so, of course, I hadn't read it and didn't know what it was about. I'm hoping it didn't spoil too much about how the eventual movie is going to turn out. But the short story itself it almost reads like something they could have done on American Horror Story in this previous season, Asylum. But it looks like it's going to be interesting. I mean, I like Kate Beckinsale. Not only is she, phenomenally beautiful, but she's a good actress, and so seeing her play a psychiatrist who's going to go waltzing into this place that's just filled with the inmates running the asylum sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that it has some good scares in it and some real chills.
I love the concept. I really do. I think it's going to be one of those things where somebody just ruined the surprise for us, which really bums me out because I think that was going to be like a twist, but...
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm thinking it's almost, you almost know too much going into this. That would be an awesome surprise if midway through you realize this handsome doctor guy that she's been hooking up with is actually some pathological nut job who's been, who's been in the asylum this whole time as a patient, and he's one of the maybe the ringleader that kind of created this whole coup.
It depends on how they spin it.
I don't know, man. It kind of sounds like that's the twist.
That's
Well, but the film, what makes it good or not good, really won't probably ride so much on the twist, but just how the film is executed. I don't think that the twist is necessarily would have been something you wouldn't have seen coming, because when I read the write up of the short story, from the descriptions of things, it seemed pretty clear that these people that she was talking with and having dinner with were pretty fucking odd. So I can't imagine that a smart audience wouldn't pick that up from the get-go. Now, I'm sure they're going to play it a bit more subtle, at least in the beginning of the film, but I'm much more interested not in the twist, but just how they're going to handle her in this asylum and her gradual understanding of what's happening.
So
I've never seen her in a horror movie, so and I don't count the Underworld movies as horror. I'd be curious to see how she's going to handle a horror film and if she can really bring some sense of fear and drama to it.
Well, did you see Vacancy?
No, what is that?
Vacancy's kind of a horror movie that she was in. That was
More
really
of a
good.
thriller.
That was the that was
Luke
the
Wilson.
one that
Luke Wilson,
they check into her room and then they got peepholes and stuff by the.
I thought that was Strangers or something.
No, Strangers was Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler, yeah.
Right, but I thought that's I've not seen Vacancy.
You should. It's a pretty good thriller.
Yeah, it's worth looking at.
We just told you how Horrible Bosses 2 was shooting this summer. We told you that last week. Well, after that, director Seth Gordon is going to allow Jason Sudeikis, fuck, whatever, and Charlie Day.
You only host a movie podcast.
And Charlie Day to partner up as cops trying to transport a witness in One Night on the Hudson. Shut the fuck up, Brian.
All right. I'm shutting the fuck up right after this. So apparently it's like Midnight Run, but a little bit shorter distance.
Midnight Hop.
Midnight Stroll. So, one of them, I'm not sure which one is which, but I guess one of them's playing a kind of a first day on the job type of rookie, and the other one's kind of the seasoned veteran.
Oh man, it's never been done before.
Yeah, I know.
I love those concepts, though.
I'm getting too old for this shit. So yeah, I mean, like I say, they got to transport a guy from New Jersey to Manhattan. Of course, everybody and their brother is after him. So, this Seth Gordon guy's got a pretty good track record and everything. So this should be funny. I mean, I like Jason Sudeikis. I think he's sticking around way too long on Saturday Night Live. He should be I feel he should be a larger movie actor hit by this time. But
he's really
that's
funny,
my 2 cents.
He's clever. If they can even approach Midnight Run, I'm there. But you're right, Scott. This has been done about 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I don't want to see it.
What do you guys think about Charlie Day, though? That's a guy from It's Always Sunny, right?
He's good in doses. I don't like him. I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd like him in the full movie. Like Horrible Bosses, I thought he was in there too much.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's his real voice or if that's him forcing it.
He's like Hugh Grant of comedy. I mean, he's that same character in everything he does.
Except I love Hugh Grant.
It's funny though, but just like Hugh Grant, you can. I mean, that's his bread and butter. This is Charlie Day's bread and butter. I mean, I don't necessarily need to see Charlie Day in a Victorian period movie, playing a serious role. I don't look at him that way. I mean, this is kind of what you expect from him. So, my guess is Jason's probably the vet. Charlie's probably the rookie.
The rookie, yeah, I could see that.
Maybe he's playing the Riggs character, that wild and crazy.
Right.
As long as they don't make Lethal Weapon 5, we're all good. Safety Not Guaranteed director, which Scotty actually talked about in a flashback a few weeks ago. Colin Trevorrow has landed the gig of director for Spielberg's Jurassic Park 4. That means he's producing it. This is a big project to get.
And it's hard for me to comment on this without sounding biased because obviously I had really adored that film. I thought it was kind of one that was underappreciated. I still love this.
Which movie was underappreciated?
Safety Not Guaranteed.
Oh, Safety Not Guaranteed. Okay. I thought you meant Jurassic Park.
I thought you meant Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, wasn't that like your first movie or something, Junior?
Wow. No, I really like this idea, but not merely just because my love for that film, but Trevor did a good job in that movie of pulling the right emotion and the right doses from those actors, and I think the idea of harnessing that kind of fear and sense of awe in a Jurassic Park film, a newer one, is awesome. That's kind of a tricky thing to do without doing the simple boo scares or the cheesy screams and that kind of thing. Plus, he's the director. He's not doing the special effects. He didn't write it. It was being written by Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Mm-hmm. So that trifecta of people involved in this film, good writers, obviously talent by Spielberg with he's involved, obviously. And
he's producing it, yeah.
Producing it. And then a director that captures the emotion the way he did in Safety Not Guaranteed. I'm on board. I think that sounds exactly what I want for this series. Kind of a little bit of a reboot, instead of it being characters that I just really don't care about, like in the third Jurassic Park movie.
I really like the third one. I think
Did
that's
you?
underrated.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan.
It was fun and quick, and they had pterodactyls. I don't know what more do you want, really, in a dinosaur movie?
I don't know. I can't remember the kid's name in that movie. The kid actor I've never liked him in anything I've ever seen him in. I can't remember his name.
Did they have names in that movie? I wasn't really paying attention. I was watching pterodactyls.
But that's my point, is you saw it for the dinosaurs. I want to see a Jurassic Park movie.
It's called Jurassic Park.
I didn't see it for the costumes.
I understand, but I want some character development. And I think
want dinosaurs.
All right.
I want dinosaurs eating a lot of fucking people.
Whether they got names or not.
I don't care if they're in San Diego or not. I mean, just.
And I want them to have emotions. So they cry as they get chomped. What story? Anybody got a storyline they're hoping they go with? Because the story's under lock and key. Like, do you want it on the island again, or do you want something mainland? Do you want it in space? What?
Space. I don't want it on mainland. I like the idea of it. The easy route's going to be the third island, or fourth island, is it now? I guess. No, it would be the fourth island, right?
That fucker had an archipelago.
Right.
He did.
Jurassic shit.
Jurassic Ocean.
Jurassic Islands. I
wish they do Jurassic Park 2, the book.
Yeah, the book would be
but
fantastic.
I've talked about that before.
Yeah. Jurassic Park 2, the book, or Lost World is a really good book. Mm-hmm.
Too bad they fucked it up in the movie.
The cast for Neil Berger's Divergent is rounding out pretty nicely. Kate Winslet, Downton Abbey's Theo James, Aaron Eckhart, Ray Stevenson, and Jai Courtney. The film is about a futuristic world where people are herded into factions based on their personalities.
Yeah, I've read Divergent, and then I've read Insurgent. The third book is due to come out later this year. I wasn't as enamored by the books as my wife was. They read is really kind of weak Hunger Games. Look at this list of actors. It's a strong list. I'm curious who these different people are going to be playing. I've got some ideas based on the reading of the book and looking at these guys. This new guy, though, that they've signed on, Theo James, he looks too old to be playing the character of Four. In the book, Four is about 18, if that, 17 or 18 years old. This dude looks like he's in his fucking mid-30s.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
Is he really a teenager?
Yeah, he's a teenager in the books. And the female that they've got him starring opposite, Shailene Woodley, she's 21, but she's a young actress. She can play 16 or 15. Mm-hmm. That's no trouble, but this dude looks like her fucking dad.
So it's like Grease, where you got a bunch of mid-30-year-olds that are playing high schoolers?
Basically, yeah. I mean, he looks far too old to be playing this character, especially a character who is as physically intense as Four is. So this is the one casting that I've seen so far that really looks like, wow. I hope they see something that I don't, and whatever they see comes through in the end product, because right now he looks completely unlike the part that I had in my head. But
what do you mean?
Aaron Eckhart, hell yeah. I mean, they're great actors, and I can't wait to see what they do.
What do you mean by physically intense? Why is it?
Well, the faction that Four and the lead character Triss are in is Dauntless, and the Dauntless faction, they're all about combat. So, and his character is kind of that brooding young man who he's got a chip on his shoulder, but he doesn't want to let people in, but he's constantly in physical action, beating people up in combat, sparring, fighting, climbing, doing all sorts of really intense physical things. This guy just doesn't look like that guy nor is he the proper looking age for that guy. I don't know how they're going to pair these two up without it looking like some kind of May December romance.
Ooh. Yeah, I did see him, and he does look like he's in his 30s, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him in Underworld, the latest one, The Awakening, and he was fairly decent in that, but there wasn't a lot called for. But this is a big property that they're hoping will, maybe be the new Twilight or their Hunger Games. So I'm assuming they're not going to hire these guys without having a real good belief that they're the right ones for it. Mm-hmm. Just have to wait and see. But the rest of them, it's looking like a pretty good cast.
Well, now on to my favorite piece of the news for the week. Joel Silver has landed the rights to Escape from New York, that 1981 classic starring Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken. Silver plans, this is the part where I'm a little, Silver plans to turn the movie into a trilogy.
Is that your version of Squee?
I squee quite a bit.
I think he's actually scared.
The trilogy part scares me, because it's like, make one good movie first, then you can worry about 3.
Well, I mean, Joel Silver's got a pretty good track record. I mean,
he's pretty hit and miss the last 10 years, man.
I agree with you. Fair enough. He's kind of like that aging, sports athlete star that is still not quite as good as he used to be, but he's still kind of revered. Mm-hmm. But your memory of him kind of clouds your judgment of what his current and recent activities.
Like Brett Favre.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess this first movie is supposed to be more of a trilogy in the vein of this first one. I guess it's supposed to be more of an origin. So I guess it's similar to Planet of the Apes, apparently.
Wait a minute. It's an origin story, but it's going to star Kurt Russell?
No, Kurt Russell isn't going to be
Kurt Russell's not in it.
No, they're redoing it. It's a whole new thing. They're going to do like a prequel. Yeah, they do a prequel with the old Kurt Russell.
Well, that was not...
He time travels.
Kurt Russell will be Dinosaur Plissken, his dad.
Dinosaur That's Plissken. How you do Jurassic Park. Show Snake Plissken.
his eye patch.
Or get a raptor with an eye patch.
Sagging.
Oh, sold. No, they're going to recast it. That's really hard because the most iconic thing about the entire movie is Kurt Russell. Really, the movie, a lot of people don't remember much of the movie. They just remember that character because he made it.
I remember surfing.
That's the second one.
That's the second one, and you shouldn't. Film buffs don't name that one, sir.
That one doesn't exist.
Exactly. Draw. Is that better?
It exists when you're drunk. What they're trying to do, I just don't understand the obsession with trilogies lately. Everything has to be a freaking trilogy. Can we make one good movie?
$1, man. You should know that. It's about the dollar.
Yeah, but I get that.
This sounds good, or this first one did pretty well. We've got a small window where we can squeeze out 1 or 2 more. Let's just make it 2, make it happen. That's what it works.
As long as they make the first one with a closed end, that's all I care about. The only thing I don't like when they're making trilogy ideas is if you make one movie and it's open-ended, because that's what I keep worrying about. Hollywood's going to screw up, and then the movie bombs. Well, then you don't get your other 2 movies or sequels. You don't know how it ends, and I don't like that concept.
We just cut the end off.
Snake though.
Snake Plissken?
Yeah.
That's a hard one to cast, man. I honestly think you should go with an unknown.
Or
Carl Urban. I think Carl Urban. I mean, he pulled Dredd off awesome. So I can see.
You got to see most of his face in this one.
How about Zac Efron?
Fuck you. Just shut up, Scott.
Fuck you too.
I'm sure Brian could see him in the part.
No.
I don't know. I mean, personally, I was really hoping if they were going to do this, maybe get Taylor Kitsch or somebody to.
I could see Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah, he looks it.
Yeah, I could honestly see Taylor Kitsch.
Hugh Jackman would actually probably make it pretty decent.
He would, but he'd never do it because it's he's Hugh Jackman. Why would I do this shit? I'm Hugh fucking Jackman.
Fucking Wolverine, bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, Studio Canal owns the rights to this, and they've made such hits as Broken City, The Last Exorcism.
Brian, you're just making me sad.
But look, in all, I mean, hey, I'm trying to be fair here. They've also done Terminator 2, The Pianist, or as it's The Pianist.
Because we need to compare that to Escape from New York. The
Basic
Pianist.
Instinct and Sleepy Hollow. So
nothing really good in the last 15 years is what you're telling me.
Well, some have been, successes monetarily speaking.
It's no.
I didn't say they were good,
God
but
damn it. Now I don't want a trilogy.
shit. Just give me the one movie and get it over with.
Kurt Russell's free. Just cast him and make it an old Snake. I'm fine with that.
Just turn it into like the Kurt Russell Snake Plissken version of what is it? The Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller Batman story.
Nice. Where he just comes out of retirement in a cane and a walker and an eye patch.
That's it. Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. A little bit later, we're going to be talking about a movie about the positive influence that adults have on children. This movie, though, called Mud, is not about that, but pretty much just about the opposite. A couple of kids find a boat, get this, in a tree. So they use it as a treehouse until they realize someone else is taking up residence there. A certain rabbit ears lawbreaker who spins them a yarn about meeting his beautiful girlfriend and being chased by some bounty hunters. When this beautiful girl shows up, the bad men ain't far behind, and things get a little heated. Justin, do you think you're going to dip your toes into the muddy banks of this Mississippi-based thriller?
You know, it doesn't look...
He tries so hard.
It doesn't look bad. McConaughey, you know, God love me, that voice kind of, he always sounds like he's just playing the same guy. And maybe you can't help it when you've got a drawl like that. So I constantly keep waiting for him to break out with Lawbreaker or Thing I Like About High School Girls, man. It just, he can't quite get over his own voice. It looks all right. The kids look well cast. They look more convincing, I think, than he does. Mm-hmm. But all in all, and Reese Witherspoon, I almost didn't recognize her at first. It took me a couple of seconds to realize that that's who I was looking at. It looks all right. It's certainly not one that I'm putting on my calendar. Looking forward to the release date on that, but it doesn't look bad.
Did you anybody see Killer Joe?
No.
Oh,
no. It's one of those that I've got on my list to watch, but just haven't quite got to it yet.
McConaughey is
great stuff about it.
McConaughey is fantastic in that movie. Fantastic. So I honestly, anything the guy does, I'll check out because he's proven to me that he's more than just a pretty face.
Did anybody else get a Stand By Me vibe from the trailer, or am I?
In the very opening seconds, yeah, but then that quickly went away.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mud opens up on April 26th. And next up is The Colony, which is a sci-fi thriller that looks to kind of be in the vein of The Thing, but potentially a whole lot better. A new ice age has driven humanity underground, and after working out the bugs to kind of maintain survival under the ice, a new threat has emerged, and it's up to Lawrence Fishburne and Bill Paxton to help save what's left of the world. Aaron, now I know this actually opens up in Canada on April 12th.
Oh yeah,
it's still determined, still to be determined as far as when we get it down here in the colonies. But
oh man,
in the colonies.
Oh man,
what'd you think about this one?
That was so stupid. The colonies. I think Sci-Fi is going to be airing this shit in about 6 weeks. That's what I think.
That bad?
I think it looks awful. Yeah.
What?
I thought it looked pretty solid.
I think it looks awful. The acting is horrible. The effects were okay, but the acting was just horrible. Bill Paxton looked awful. I mean, for a good actor, he just looked bad. Bad.
Maybe you're supposed
and the third guy, who's not Bill Paxton, there's Bill Paxton, Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne looks fine because he looks like, he's Lawrence Fishburne. He's the same guy in every movie. But there's a third guy that acts in the trailer. Awful. He's fucking just awful. I saw it and I'm like, well, this is going to video. This has never hit in a theater in America.
I don't know. Post-apocalyptic stuff I'm all about. It looks like the day after tomorrow to me.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. We did the bit about our trilogies and stuff. You piece together a few movies and kind of make a theme or even a complete trilogy. This looks like part 2 of trilogy after the day after tomorrow, The Colony, and then followed up with something else. So
I think it looks pretty good. I was actually kind of surprised.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it at all. I was excited from the trailer. So
I will. if this ends up at a theater near you, I will give you $5.
Oh,
because
yeah?
it's not going to happen.
Each of us?
No, just Scott.
Oh, no. That shit.
He's right in front of me.
I got PayPal, bitch.
I saw the thing. I saw the X-Files episode.
And I want you to write Bill Paxton an apology.
I will not apologize. He looked awful in that trailer. He just bad acting, and it's not likely, and it's not like him. He's usually a good.
Wait, are
actor.
you talking about physical appearance, or are you talking about his acting?
I'm talking about his acting was awful.
Oh, okay.
Lawrence Fishburne was good, but the rest of the movie,
Game over, man. Game over.
It's just bad. Just looks bad. I hope it's good for you guys' sake because you seem to want to see it. So.
Was it good for you?
I do want to see it.
Excellent.
I do too.
Maybe you can see it when it ever comes to the colonies, Brian.
But y'all see it before I see Psych.
Oh, wow.
Below the belt.
Really?
Bam!
He takes a cheap
Ooh.
shot.
Body blow. Body blow.
That's why I gave you syphilis.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, you guys can check out these trailers and those from recent episodes at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Have you got a thought or a topic idea that you want us to talk about?
If you got a thought.
Well, hey, look, you wrote this shit. I'm just reading it.
Can you think? Can you process?
All right. Reach out to us at Twitter at H_outsider. Go on to Facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider and click that little thumbs up like button. Or you can email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. And you can also get our I'm a Ho t-shirts, which are also, like I said, available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. While I got you here, how about I go ahead and I've got a little question for you.
Okay.
All right. Just a few minutes ago, we were talking about Escape from New York. So I got a little trivia here about Snake Plissken and Kurt Russell.
Okay.
Now, according to IMDb, who did the studio originally want for the role of Snake Plissken? Was it Sly Stallone, Isaac Hayes, who is in the movie, Tommy Lee Jones, or Rutger Hauer?
Oh, Scott?
I will guess Isaac Hayes.
Justin?
I'll go with Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, you two, Justin and Aaron, are right. Tommy Lee Jones.
I'm aware of that.
That doesn't even sound right at all.
Tommy Lee
No.
Jones. That's back when he was coming up and he was like on the rise. Before he did that Black Moon Rising shitty movie.
Oh, God, that movie was awful.
Wasn't that awful? That was just awful. Yeah. Believe it or not, he used to be an up-and-coming star, like he was going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they just felt because of Kurt Russell's previous work up to that point.
the Disney movies killed him.
Yeah, they didn't feel he was tough enough for it. Basically,
They were wrong. Stupids.
stupid.
All right, now let's go to the big screen where we review any new releases. And Brian, because we can't get tired of Brian talking.
I'm telling you, baby, just can't get enough of the sexy baldness.
All right, tell us about Camp.
All right, well, we got to check out a little movie called Camp, and it's basically about you've got a little boy named Eli, and he's in the system, meaning our glorious child welfare system, due to his mom ODing and basically his abusive father. So the state's taking care of him. And then you got Ken, who's basically a self-absorbed investment advisor who's volunteering at this said camp to basically kind of win over a client. Now, Ken is obviously he's paired up with the angry and scared Eli, so Ken's going to be his counselor for this. And the two, throughout the course of the movie and their time there at this camp, the two both kind of learn the meaning of unconditional love. Aaron, on this one, what did you think about the story here? Because this is really not the type of movie that we normally kind of rush out to go see. But I think for the most part, both of us tend to appreciate the sentimental type of movies.
We like to hide our hearts. How's that?
There you go.
I thought the story is pretty simple. I mean, it's basically counselor, he's self-absorbed, goes to a camp, ends up finding out that there's more to him and more to this kid, et cetera, et cetera. At times it's pretty predictable, but some of the smaller low-key moments ended up getting to me a little bit. There's more than just this particular kid. There's also several other kids. There's Redmond, who is a kid that believes in, or Redford. He's a little boy who believes he's an alien, and he reminds me of Justin McCumber as a kid. So I kept referring to him as Redford McCumber. And there's a little girl who has a hard time sleeping. There's a little girl, or another. There's several little.
Another one that has like hard time read. She can't read.
She can't read. Right. Well. There's various issues that the kids have, and those moments really got to me. The one thing it could have done a little better was explain who Ken was at first. But that really comes through, I think, by the end. I was just glad to see a camp movie where it actually looks like summer camp, and it's not just a bunch of hijinks.
I thought it was pretty cookie cutter. There was, like you said, it had its moments, but pretty predictable. You kind of knew where it was going, what was going to happen. But I obviously have a soft spot for kids, being a teacher, and I actually started looking at what I wanted to do this summer because I'm obviously going to be looking for work after I graduate in May, and summer camp was something that might be fun to do, and that kind of like made me think, and that, especially if it's something like foster kids like that really need it, not just kids that are being pawned off by their parents or something like that. So kind of made me think in that respect, and I appreciated the movie for that. But the story was a little too sweet for my taste.
Because you hate children.
Yes, I hate children.
I understand.
No, I mean it I felt like it was a little. It was trying a little bit too hard to pull at your heartstrings, and it did in a couple spots a little bit, but not as much. And I think a lot of it might have had to do with how I felt about the acting, and I wanted to ask you about that because I know that it's actually been getting a lot of praise. I think you said the LA Times said it was getting good acting.
They actually praised some of the acting, yeah.
And I think you and I might disagree a little bit on this one. What were your thoughts on the acting in this one?
I didn't like Miles. Miles Elliott's the kid who plays the main character of Eli, and he's really hit or miss. I mean, when he's being sweet, I think he really works. Mm-hmm. But every time he acts like that troubled kid, loses me because he's not strong at it. I don't.
He looks like he's acting.
And I hate picking on a little kid, believe it or not. But it's not so good.
Right.
I loved Matthew Wayne who plays Redford.
Yeah. Redford rocked.
Yeah,
he was pretty good.
Did you like him, Justin?
Did I like Redford?
Yeah.
Put down the Cheetos.
After listening to your interview with the writer and director, I realized, Aaron, that you come to the film with a bit of, I wouldn't call it emotional baggage, but you've been to camp. And so, you've kind of done the same thing that this movie has in it. You've been around some of these, not, these exact same sorts of kids, but I don't have that same youthful story. I've never been to camp. My grandparents' house and the acres and acres of pasture they had were kind of my camp, and so I don't have a lot of touchstones for this story to really resonate with me. And I agree with Scotty that it's hard for a story like this to not be a little paint by numbers, because we've seen this sort of story before. We know where it's going to go, and so I feel bad calling that a negative, but pretty much from minute one, I knew exactly where this movie was going to go. That we were going to have a hard kid. We were going to have this guy who just was so self-absorbed, and then slowly but surely they were both going to understand what the camp was about and what each other was about, and find some kind of love there. And so at no point was I ever surprised or, given some kind of a curveball. So I mean, it was fine for what they wanted to do. It's not my normal type of movie. It's not one, the story type is not something that interests me all that much, but I appreciate a writer-director who is trying to, create his own art and then getting out there and promoting that art. So I certainly don't want to bag on it. He is passionate about the story and about these kids, because a lot of this is his story and kids he was with and around and counseled. So for him, it's very personal and it means a whole heck of a lot. And I don't want to diminish that at all. But for me, it was a little cookie cutter, as Scotty said, but it had a sweet heart to it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Ken. Michael Matera played Ken. I liked him. I think Scott didn't really care for him too much, but I was a fan of him. Maybe it's because he's arrogant. I respect that.
Yeah, but I didn't buy into his arrogance.
I didn't either.
I thought his arrogance was
Forced.
about as good as Eli's anger. Anytime he was arrogant and about himself, trying to pull off that air of self-absorbedness, I felt he was acting.
I got you.
But I did think the girl that played Tammy Parker, the
Grace Johnson.
Grace Johnson, yeah, she. I thought she did a fantastic job.
She blew everybody away. Like the camp leader, Tammy. Mm-hmm. I think she blew everybody away. She was the character you want to hang out with after the movie's over.
Mm-hmm.
In a good way, did. Scott. In a good way.
I wasn't thinking that.
Yes, you were. He started smiling. That's all I know.
I think the thing about Ken that kind of annoyed me is I find it hard to believe that anybody would be that obtuse.
Yeah.
You know, that they're in this situation and that he would have no idea that being on his cell phone this often was going to cause problems. Even as an asshole as I can be in my lack of love for children of any sort, I would not, after being told once or twice, don't be on your phone, I would have put my phone away. Now, I think the one easy way they could have solved that is if there was something going on at work that the female that he worked with was having to constantly be in touch with him on to help resolve or manage, then there would be a real good reason for him to constantly be on that phone. But otherwise, it just came across as a little, I need a way to create some drama here. Oh, let's keep him on the phone more often than he should be.
Mm-hmm. I would say, honestly, I've known people like that. So it totally resonated with me. I mean, I know several people that I work with that are just arrogant about it, and they don't care if it's interrupting or if it's interfering or if it's rude. They're just continuously on their phone because their lives are very important.
There is that awareness, though, that you do know that you are in a giving environment. Even if you don't know exactly that, hey, all of these kids are troubled kids, that there is this, I mean, you've got to just, if you are just even a 20% observant at all, you know that this is not the place to be doing that kind of stuff.
I'm sorry. I didn't think any of it rang false, but we're spending way too much time on a cell phone, that's for sure.
We're on it more than he was.
Yes.
I did kind of like that story element, though, that they did with how he used that as far as with the kid using the phone and where that progressed. Mm-hmm. That actually was kind of interesting.
Didn't that take way too long to pay off?
Yes.
I didn't think so. I actually was glad because I started forgetting about it, and then it just bounced back. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Because, in most movies, it happens like 5 minutes after he makes a call. Like, bam, somebody shows up.
It seemed like it was like a good half hour or so after that happened.
Longer.
Or longer.
Well, I mean, the movie takes place over the course of about a week or so. So,
right.
I mean, you got to give it a day or two for his, whatever, troubled father to find his way up there.
I thought the camp looked nice. It looked like a real camp. It looked like a place I wished I could have hung out as a kid.
I think it was a real camp, actually.
It was.
Even the name of the camp is the one they reference in the credits. And
it's hard to comment on the direction, I guess, because Jacob Roebuck, who we did an interview, and a very nice guy, and you could tell his heart is really in the movie. But it's really the film itself is set up for simple shots. I mean, it's static shots and that sort of thing. There's nothing.
There's a couple crane shots here and there.
Yeah, there's a few crane shots. It's definitely a low-budget movie, you can tell. But I think they made it look really well for the money that it cost for the movie. I think it looks really well, me personally. But that's also because I've seen a lot of low-budget movies. I mean, I grew up in Edward Burns movies that looked like they were shot at a donut shop for $8, and this looked a lot better than a lot of those.
Yeah, looked fine.
Mm-hmm. There's no CGI. There's no aliens or anything that pop up at camp.
Well, no.
No trees blinked.
All right, Justin, what would you score this one at?
I'd probably give it a 6. I mean, the heart of it outweighs anything too lacklustery. It was definitely done on a restrained budget, but it was done about a subject the guy really cared about. So I'd give it a good 6.
Scotty.
I gave it a 5. I thought it had a good heart, and considering the budget that he had, he did a really good job of making the camp look believable, that kind of thing. Just the acting was distracting to me. It really was throughout the whole movie. I felt like I was watching a stage production, like done at a high school,
like after school special type of.
Right. Okay. And I hate to knock the guy because, like Aaron said, he had the interview and he's really nice, and I think the fact that his heart is in this so much, like Justin said, that I want to see more from him. I think this is a good basis for him. I want to see what else he can do and bring some more heart into this, and for the sheer fact that it kind of made me think about myself and my involvement with what I'm going to be doing in the future with children and teaching and that kind of thing really kind of struck home to me.
All right, so let's get to your score then.
You said 5.
I said 5.
I said 5.
All right, Aaron, what would you give it?
Good, sweet story. It's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. So, I'm happy that anything that shines a light on something that so many people ignore, it's a plus in my book. Acting was a little sketchy at times. The film's very low budget. But there's some characters and subject matter that save the charm. I really like Ken. I really like Tammy. I thought she was just charismatic. And the kids just got me. Yeah, the kids got me at the end. I was almost in tears at the end, so I can easily recommend it. 7 out of 10.
All right, I would actually agree with you with the 7. I'm going with a 7 out of 10 also. I really feel it's a great message. It was entertaining. Some of the performances by some of the actors were a bit distracting and not in a good way. I really did like Grace Johnston. I thought she did a fantastic job. The testimonials, loved Redford's character, by the way.
Yes.
Loved him.
He was great.
He was awesome. I want a spinoff just for Redford.
For Redford McCumber.
That's it. But the testimonials at the end, honestly, they did make me cry.
They did.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially because at the end they showed the real people behind the stories, and all those stories were true. So, I mean, that's just
people man up.
What's that?
Man up, people.
That's the pot. You're black. Seriously.
Yeah. So, again, I think with the testimonials, you really get a sense of the director, his passion behind this, and you can definitely see the inspiration for a lot of the characters and a lot of the segments of the movie, the little stories, the subplots. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan. I like it. I'm wishing the best for it. I hope it gets some pretty good distribution.
I will say the tea party scene had me cracking up.
That was pretty funny.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I did like that. Funny. That's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie.
And I actually like the epilogue too. But there is an epilogue, and it's very sweet. So
I'd give it another point if they didn't mention Jesus once more.
Okay, now
let's wait for it.
All right, Scotty, you saw the incredible Burt Wonderstone.
I did, and I was really, really looking forward to seeing this one. It was actually my pick when we talked about it on last week's show. In this movie, Steve Carell plays the title role of the Vegas stage performing magician. But the story actually starts with a brief backstory on how he got into his career. He receives a magic kit as a kid for his birthday and teams up with his best friend Anton, who later in the film is played by Steve Buscemi. The pair grow up to become a headlining act at one of the top casinos in Vegas. Fast forward about 10 years later, and the now incredible Burt Wonderstone and Anton Marvelton, they've begun to worn out their welcome a little bit as the velvet costumes and Siegfried and Roy hairstyles aren't attracting as much attention as they used to. A new street performer named Steve Gray, who's played by Jim Carrey, enters the scene and threatens to erase the pair from their diminishing fame. He calls himself, I'm not making this up, he calls himself the Mind Rapist.
Okay.
And is more or less a cross between Chris Angel and David Blaine of TV fame. Although his quote-unquote magic deserves to be in quotation marks, his stunts, which include holding his bladder for several days, attract a lot of attention for some reason. So the rest of the story is pretty cookie-cutter in terms of comedies. Not too much going on in story-wise there. It's basically a story wrapped around a bunch of funny jokes. Mildly funny jokes, I guess I should say. Mm-hmm. The acting, nothing to write home about. Steve Carell seems like he's trying too hard to be Ron Burgundy. If Ron Burgundy worked in Vegas, Steve Buscemi was probably my favorite performance in the film, believe it or not, because I actually enjoyed seeing him act a little bit instead of being the creepy guy like he is in almost every other film I've seen him in.
I heard Jim Carrey was really good.
Jim Carrey was good, but he was Jim Carrey. I mean, he was a good
kind of a cookie cutter, Jim Carrey.
I've used that a lot this episode. I apologize. He was Ace Ventura, but a stage performer. I mean, it just nothing special, just enough without being over the top. But bottom line, this is the epitome of movies that made a great trailer that should have stopped there. There's so much promise. They had so many opportunities for really funny moments and funny jokes, and I just walked away really disappointed. The premise could have gone so many different ways to be funny, but it just went for the easy joke way too many times. There's one particular scene where the two of them fight, and he has to do the performances by himself. Well, he gets roaringly drunk and then has to do the 2-man show by himself, and so you can imagine where that goes as far as him trying to do a 2-man show by himself and hammered. It was pretty funny, but had a couple laugh out loud moments.
Sounds like a riot.
Yeah, it's. Well, imagine a magician show where it takes two guys to kind of hide what's going on, and so everyone in the crowd is seeing exactly what's going on. It's not hidden anymore. But couple of funny moments, but nothing that's worth waiting to the entire 100 minutes. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Made me wish I had seen The Call instead.
The Call was good.
Yeah,
The Call was good. I went and saw The Call with Scott's wife. Just so you know.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hey, Halle Berry stars as Jordan. And by the way, everybody on the show gave me so much shit for seeing this. You're all stupid. Halle Berry stars as Jordan Turner. She's a 911 operator, and she makes a mistake while taking a call one night, and it's a horrible mistake. It really is.
You made a mistake by going to see this.
Shut up. She wears a little girl's death squarely on her shoulders, and she really does. Skips ahead 6 months, and Jordan is now a trainer. So while she's taking her new operators on rounds, she intercepts a call from her 16-year-old kidnap victim, Casey, who's played by Little Miss Sunshine's Abigail Breslin. When she ends up taking the call because she's the most experienced, doing everything she can to talk Casey through everything and get her out of this alive. Things change quick, and Jordan realizes, it's the same killer as before. What?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, no surprise. If you saw the trailer, it tells you right there in the trailer. Okay, now everyone on the show, like I said, wants to hate on me for this movie, and I assume because the trailer makes it look like it's dumb. And I originally said that this looks entertaining in a check your brain at the door kind of way. Brian, I think you probably recall that. I'm changing that. I think it's a really, for the most part, it's a very smart and effective thriller. And it's from director Brad Anderson, who did The Machinist and Session 9, which I did not know going in. The story, very far-fetched, but the action and the direction sell it. Halle Berry, best I've seen her in ages. Abigail Breslin, I didn't even know she was still acting, so she looked great. She never played a character like a stupid teenager, and I respect that. She actually plays it like somebody who's freaking out because they're in the trunk of a car and they have no idea what the hell to do. Morris Chestnut pops up as Jordan's boyfriend cop. Always liked the guy. Wish he'd get some bigger roles. He's a solid actor. And Michael Eklund, who played the killer, freaking creepy. It was nice to see a real sick he's really sick and twisted. So I was on the edge of my seat for most of the movie and honestly thought they did so many clever things to build suspense until the very, very end. The first 3/4 of the movie, one of the most tense thrillers I've seen in the last 5 years. Easy, 5 years. But then the last 1/4, like the ending of the movie, the last 15, 20 minutes, what the fuck were they thinking? Just goes off the rails. The writer, director, and everyone else decided to make some absolutely stupid plot hole mistakes and give the audience an ending that they wouldn't expect, and it almost completely ruined my experience. I can't tell you what bothered me without spoiling it, so I'll say this. If you see the movie, you'll know exactly what I mean. There is zero way the cops are not watching that specific location. Zero. So if you saw the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you probably threw shit at the screen at one point. Because it's just one of those where it's so smart for easily 3/4 of the movie, very smart. And then you get to the end, and it's like, what the now she's an idiot? I don't understand. But that said, the ending wasn't horrible. It just seemed like it was from a completely different movie. The first 3/4 of the movie seems like a really smart thriller. It just didn't match the thriller before it. So $10 is the full price of admission. I still give the film a $6.50. I really enjoyed it, even if I thought the ending went way wrong. It would have been an easy $8 for me if they just would have held the story together at the end.
So which cop kidnapped this girl? Because I got a feeling it looks like a movie where one of the cops that's helping look for this girl is actually the bad guy.
Nope. You're wrong. You are wrong, and I guess you won't know unless you go see it. Huh, Brian?
Well, as far as like go see it, that's not going to happen. Now, I may check it out on cable in 6 months, but
it's too bad. It was a really good thriller. Box office, Oz the Great and Powerful held on to number one, 41.2 million, down about 48% for 144 million total. 281 million worldwide, so it's a hit. It should end up with about 550 million. So that's Sam Raimi's got a new hit. The Call shocked everybody by opening at number 2 with 17 million, which is more than it actually cost to make. So they're already making money off that. Wow. The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, huge flop.
So was that a collect call?
Oh, Jesus Christ. The Incredible Burt Wonderstone disappeared with 10.1 million. Yeah, see what happened? Jack the Giant Slayer, 6.3 million. It's still hanging in there, but it's only got 54 million. It's a flop. And Identity Thief, 4.4 million, still in the top 5, like weeks and weeks after it came out. 123 million.
Fuck you, Rex Reed. Fuck you.
I wonder if that was Melissa McCarthy's like Christmas card. Fuck you, Rex Reed. What? All right.
She's making it rain, bitches. All right, folks, so we have got 4 films that are coming out. One of them comes out a day earlier. That's what threw me off. 3 of these come out on March 29th. The last one we'll be talking about actually comes out on the 28th. Not sure why they thought they were so special to come out a day early, but there you go. First one we're going to be talking about is The Place Beyond the Pines. This is coming out in a limited run on the 29th. This is a crime drama directed by Derek Cianfrance. It stars Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Eva Mendes, and Ray Liotta. This film reunites Cianfrance and Gosling, whom he worked with in 2010's Blue Valentine. The title is the English meaning of the city name Schenectady, which is derived loosely from a Mohawk word for place beyond the Pine Plains. So there you go. A mysterious and mythical motorcycle racer, Luke, Ryan Gosling, drives out of a traveling carnival globe of death and whizzes through the back streets of Schenectady, New York, desperately trying to connect with a former lover, Romina, played by Eva Mendes, who recently and secretively gave birth to the stunt rider's son. In an attempt to provide for his new family, Luke quits the carnival life and commits a series of bank robberies, aided by his superior riding ability. The stakes rise as Luke is put on a collision course with an ambitious police officer, Avery Cross, played by Bradley Cooper, looking to quickly move up the ranks in a police department riddled with corruption. The sweeping drama unfolds over 15 years as the sins of the past haunt the present-day lives of 2 high school boys wrestling with the legacy they've inherited. The only refuge is found in the place beyond the pines. Now, Brian, given how much you loved Ryan Gosling's last turn as a driver, I am assuming that you cannot wait to see him get on a motorcycle and try this shit again.
Oh, I knew I was going to be past this one. Watching the little promo spot for it, it looks good. It looks very intense. Gosling as a golden-haired stunt driver, whatever.
Wasn't that the last movie?
So, it's hard to get kind of a full sense. I mean, it was the little clip that I found it's pretty short, but I like these, but I do like these kind of gritty crime, corruption type of dramas. So
I looked a little too arty for its own good myself.
It's got Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling. I've heard their performances are fantastic, so I'm willing to check it out.
I want to know why this is limited release, especially with that cast.
It means it's
I'm
very
sure
arty.
It's limited for the first week or two, and then it'll open broader.
Okay, that's fair.
It's very artistic.
Well, that's the thing is, I never thought I'd be interested in what to me looks to be a quote artsy crime drama. But is
this one of those movies that was actually made like a year or so ago, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it got pushed
but
back.
yet it gets released later for whatever reasons.
It got pushed back. It's very low budget, and I guess it's very artsy. I mean, it's considered mainstream America won't bite into it.
So is it a slow burn?
Probably.
All right. Second film, Tyler Perry's Temptation.
Hell yeah.
Confessions of a Marriage Counselor is a drama directed, written, and produced by Tyler Perry. The film's adapted from the play of the same name written by Perry with several changes made to it. This will be the 13th film by Perry. A marriage counselor married to her childhood sweetheart and pharmacist Bryce for 6 years becomes bored and frustrated with her home life and her practice within a firm. One day she meets her new client, a social media mogul, and develops a friendship with him, which then evolves into a torrid yet obsessive affair. Little does she know of the repercussions regarding her code of ethics and her betrayal to her husband. Scotty, I think probably of all of us, you're the most open-minded audience goer. Is this a Tyler Perry film that you could actually see yourself going to?
You might be surprised by my answer, because I'm surprised at how much I actually want to see this one.
No, I'm not surprised. It looks fairly good, but Aaron and Brian, they are so got their heads up their ass so hard. Tyler Perry, they wouldn't go into it if it had every actress naked in it that they love. They still wouldn't just go see it.
But in all seriousness, Tyler Perry seems to be making some strides with his directing a little bit. I mean, we talked about this one and the other one, and another one he had recently. Maybe Justin, you can remind me the name. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. This looks like a well-acted, intriguing story. I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. If nothing else, to see him make an attempt to direct a movie that's
I think he just
not Medea.
Cross-dressing in it.
Right.
I think he just produced it. I could be wrong, but
No, he directed and wrote it too.
did he? Okay.
Yeah.
It looks interesting. It really does. The lead actress, she seems pretty solid. It definitely seems like every other movie of this type. It seems like obsessed with the roles flipped, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I still want to see it. I do want to see it, but it'll definitely be a video movie.
Yeah, it's not when I'll rush out to the theater, and as much as it grates against...
I know how it's going to end.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You never knew.
Oh, that dude's getting fucked up. I promise you. Yeah.
Well, but how is it going to end for her?
Oh, she'll be all right. He'll walk it off, and he'll be like, "Oh, that's all right, baby. Just high five."
I don't know. She looks like she got a backhand coming.
Look,
Wow.
all right. Let me any urge that you've got to see it. I'm about to kill it.
Okay.
All right.
You gonna get
Hold
there?
your. All right. Kim Kardashian has a role in this movie.
I
was just
think
a-
she's gorgeous, so I'm cool with it.
As much as it grates against me to support anything that has that name attached to it, it's not enough to keep me from seeing it. I'm really that interested in seeing this film.
Really?
Yeah.
You go waste your fucking money.
What is different about this movie than any other movie? It just looks like the same plot I've seen 100 times.
It looks
I like
well
Beyonce.
acted.
It's just, yeah, this
It
time
was-
it's a woman cheating instead of the guy.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You just
Oh,
just
well,
answered your
that's
own
different.
question.
Oh, okay. So
I saw that movie with Diane Lane.
All right, number 3, The Host. Now, this is a science fiction film adapted from Stephanie Meyer's novel of the same name, written and directed by Andrew Niccol. The film stars Saoirse. How do you say her name? Saoirse? It's Saoirse.
I don't know. You're a host on a
Saoirse?
movie podcast. You should know.
Scorsese.
Yeah. Scorsese.
Scorsese.
Saoirse Ronan, Max Irons, and Jake Abel.
Sharona.
3 people I've never fucking heard of. Parasitic aliens called souls have invaded the Earth and have begun to possess the minds of humans. Melanie Strider's body has been inhabited by a soul named Wanderer, but she refuses to fade away. Wanderer starts to see Melanie's memories, in which she sees her loved ones and eventually finds a connection with them too. Melanie is trapped inside Wanderer's mind, speaking to her mentally when both decide to set off and find Melanie's loved ones. Aaron, you've had really no great desire to see any of Stephanie Meyer's other works adapted to the screen, but I have to wonder if this change in genre to science fiction has maybe piqued your interest the way the other ones didn't. Am I right or am I wrong?
You are so wrong. I would have to be taken over by a parasitic alien to go see this fucking movie. Nothing will make me go see it. I'll wait for video. I'll check it out. The book might be good. I have no idea, and I really don't care. It just looks dumb. Just dumb.
I'm trying so hard to not let the Twilight stigma cloud my interest in this movie. It's so hard to do. To go into this with an open mind without that there. I want to like this premise, but I worry that it's a mildly interesting sci-fi that is, wrapped in a romance that I have zero desire to see.
It just looks so boring.
I actually think it looks pretty good.
Oh, I thought you might like it. It's
Yeah,
right up your alley.
I am a sci-fi whore. So I am already predisposed to want to
I'm
like it. I think it looks actually kind of good.
I mean, I'm just kind of worried that it's the romance side of it's going to take precedence over the sci-fi side of it. If it's more sci-fi than romance, then I'm in. If it's more romance than sci-fi, then that's going to hurt it. But Circe is I liked her in Hannah, although I didn't like the way it ended. But that was I thought the movie Hannah was pretty good. She was the little girl in Hannah, the one where she's like an assassin at 12.
The albino looking chick?
Yeah, that's
that was
her.
Yep.
So
she's grown up, Justin. That happens
they do
with age.
that. Yes.
Well, they tend to do that. Especially it's a more rapid change when you're that young as opposed to as old as we are.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry, I was channeling a little air in there. Sorry.
He stays the same age.
I do.
That's right. All right, and our last film, which has the balls to open up a day early, G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Well, 364 days early?
Seriously.
Well,
is it just 364 days late, or is it one day early?
That.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, this is a science fiction action film directed by John Chu, based on Hasbro's G.I. Joe toy, comic, and media franchises. It's a sequel to 2009's G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. The film was written by Zombieland writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. Retaliation features an ensemble cast starring Bruce Willis and Dwayne Johnson, with Channing Tatum, Arnold Vosloo, Ray Park, Jonathan Pryce, and Lee Byung-hun reprising their roles from the first film. After the Joes are framed as traitors by Zartan, who's still impersonating the President of the United States, the Cobra Commander now has all the world's leaders under Cobra's control, with their advanced warheads aimed at innocent populaces around the world. Outnumbered and outgunned, the Joes form a plan with the original G.I. Joe, General Joseph Colton, played by Bruce Willis, to overthrow the Cobra Commander and his allies Zartan, Storm Shadow, and Firefly. God damn it, I want to see this fucking movie. Who is with me?
Me. I'm there.
I'm in.
I want to see it, but it also looks like it's got some of the best stuff of this year as well as some of the worst stuff. The action looks fantastic. I just... It's hard to take a movie seriously that has a character named Zartan.
Well, you can't blame the movie for that shit, though. That's the character's name from 20 years ago.
I know, but still, it looks like it's going to be a lot of awesome action that I want to see. I want to see it in the theater. Don't get me wrong. I just worried that this. I don't even remember what the story from the first one was, other than the Eiffel Tower got.
Channing Tatum was in it, and he doesn't remember what the story was from G.I. Joe 1.
So.
I actually just rewatched the first one, so I could tell you what it was about if you want to know.
Yeah, we're good.
Can I kill this one for you?
Oh, man.
No.
Aaron, you're really going to love this.
Okay.
There's a character in this movie, and he's played by RZA.
Oh, fuck this movie. Seriously?
Seriously.
Is it the RZA?
Does he speak? Because if he doesn't speak, I'm sure it's cool. But
I don't know.
If he talks.
He plays a guy named Blind Master, so hopefully he, maybe he's
that
mute
sounds kind
too.
of awesome.
As long as Blind Master doesn't talk, we should be okay.
The big question is, was this worth the wait? Like Brian alluded to earlier, this movie was supposed to come out a year ago.
Well, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. If Channing Tatum ain't in the main credits and he ain't listed as a star, he ain't going to be around long.
And
Just saying.
if you look at the movie poster,
He ain't the one starring
He ain't
it.
the biggest guy on he ain't the biggest guy on the picture.
Yeah. So if knowing is half the battle, I'm telling you, he ain't going to make it to the end.
So he's going to have to pull some magic.
Really? Jesus.
I will say, though, that John Chu,
Leave the puns to the rest of us.
John Chu is a guy who's directed several movies that have a lot of dance in them. I think Step Up 2, Step Up 3. He was originally tapped to direct the Great Gatsby film before all sorts of background stuff happened. And action, in a lot of ways, has a lot of dance to it. So I'm kind of curious to see how a guy who is a dancer and has that kind of mindset of bodies in motion, how that's going to translate to an action film. I'm actually really kind of stoked for this one.
That's an interesting thing. Now I'm not so sure I want to see it.
And it's got the Zombieland writers who wrote it. And I thought Zombieland was a really sharply written film.
I agree.
One thing we didn't talk about is how they pulled this movie out of theaters right before it opened. so they could make some reshoots and make some adjustments for whatever reason that they had.
And add 3D.
3D or something.
And
yeah.
added 3D post-production, yeah. So, I mean, there's some things to be concerned about, too. Yes, it looks big and dumb and loud and all that, but, enjoy. It looks like big, dumb fun.
Hey, that's G.I. Joe. I mean, for fuck's sake, you don't go into a G.I. Joe movie looking for pathos.
But you know who I don't see anymore? Marlon Wayans. What happened to him?
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
Rick Ford is gone.
That's too bad. That's
Yeah,
too bad.
At least they got something right.
It's not there, though.
Rachel Nichols is gone, too, I think.
Yeah, Scarlett's gone. But
I
they
really
do have
liked
Lady J.
I liked Rachel Nichols. She was good.
I did, too.
Yeah, but Adrian Pilecki.
All right, well, before we go too far down this misogynist rabbit hole, of these 4 films, my friends, The Place Beyond the Pines, Tyler Perry's Temptation, The Host, G.I. Joe Retaliation, which of these films are you most likely to be heading into a theater to check out? Aaron?
G.I. Joe.
Scotty?
The theater, G.I. Joe.
Brian?
Yo, Joe.
All right, well, let's make this one a foursome then. G.I. Joe Retaliation it is.
It's not gay if it's a foursome.
That's what they say.
Okay.
Hey, and just so you know, there's one of the actors in this movie. His name is Han Soto.
Is that
Come on now.
Is that a Star Wars?
Come on.
That's so stupid.
Is that not some funny
You know, his
shit?
parents were like, oh, you know what we're naming our son?
Oh,
Han.
his life sucked growing
Because
up.
the Soto.
He's like, were you in the Asian Star Wars? All right, well, you can hear us on iTunes, Zoom, listen on your Stitcher Radio app or any RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6. Should we still say Google Reader since it's going away this year?
I
Justin?
think you can drop that one.
Yeah. If you guys haven't heard, because I guess we should tell people that listen, if you have us or any other podcast on Google Reader is actually being phased out in July, I think, or late June, something like that. So find another application for your RSS feeds because it's going away. Don't blame us. We didn't do it.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or listeners suggest a clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com or send us a direct message on Twitter at @H_outsider. We will announce those who got it correct on the air and give you a proper whole shout-out. Last week's answer, it was Scott's pick, and it was The Lady Killers. You brought your bitch to the Waffle Hut?
I love that. I love that scene.
That was so great.
You brought your bitch
to the
to the Waffle Hut.
And that's Mr. Anyone and Mark T. You guys got it right, so congratulations. And this week it is Brian's turn. So here is Brian's clip.
Drink the drink.
But I don't want the drink.
He doesn't want the drink. He does.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You don't.
I do.
You don't.
I do.
You don't.
Listen, when I say I do, that means I do.
All right, if you think you know what the clip is, then email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Let's go to the couch where we go with TV and home video news. First thing, holy crikey, it is pilot season. Everybody's being cast in all kinds of stuff. I just saw Terry O'Quinn got cast in gang-related pilot. It's that time of the year when studios and producers get together and decide to cast that new exciting TV series. And guess what? Beverly Hills Cop. They're filming the pilot. Brandon T. Jackson starring as Aaron Foley. Once again, that name is catching on because it's awesome. And Judge Reinhold is returning as Billy Rosewood, and Eddie Murphy's going to cameo. Who wants to see it?
I'm in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hesitant. I don't like the idea of making this a TV show, but the one saving grace is Sean Ryan is in charge of this. So I'm in respect to him, I'm keeping an open mind.
Do we know what channel this is going for?
I believe CBS.
Yeah, it's CBS, man.
Mm-hmm. That scares me too. It's 2 strikes. I mean, but the fact that Sean Ryan's in charge is kind of like a foul ball. So it's kind of like, all right, you're still alive here. So
how are you going to get Beverly Hills Cop on CBS, man? This is a show that should be on FX or something. If you can't say the F word, all right, fair enough. But you're not going to swear at all. All you're going to say is, "Hey, old timer," and jokes like that. I mean, it's just stupid. But we'll see what they do. I'm not ruling it out yet.
I mean, in fairness, I mean they've done a pretty good job with bringing back Hawaii Five-0. So
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, I know that was a
Shot.
TV show. This is a movie, but that being said, they've done a pretty good job with it. So I'm trying to be a good boy and keep an open mind here.
I'll wait and see how it turns out.
Fair enough. What about The Office's Rainn Wilson nabbed the title role for a CBS pilot about an overweight, offensive detective who cannot seem to change his self-destructive ways?
Well, I'm not sure if you guys were aware. I learned this recently, but The Office filmed its final episode on Saturday, so that show is
Yay!
finally done.
Yeah, that's only about 8 years overdue.
God, kill that thing.
Put a fork in it.
And there was a spin-off supposedly rumored, but it got shot down, so Rainn Wilson's actually become a hot commodity as of recently, apparently. So, and as much as it bothers me to agree with Justin so much in one episode...
Hey, shut the frack up.
I'm kind of with him as far as being pretty much done with major network television shows, especially the pilots. I don't know. Rainn Wilson does seem perfect for that role, but he's always going to be Dwight Schrute.
Yep.
I don't like him. I just think he's a one-note guy. He's got nothing else in his arsenal.
Well, he worked for a season or two, but after that, it's
and that's what I'm saying is that's all I watched of that was 1 or 2 seasons, and they just kind of drove that show into the ground. So. I don't know. I'm sorry, did I mispronounce it? How do you say his name?
No, you did right. Rainn Wilson.
Oh, okay.
How do you fuck that up? Even I can get that right. Speaking of The Office, Ricky Gervais.
Richie?
Richie Gervais. What is he, Mexican?
Richie Gervais.
Richie Gervais. Richie Gervais from The Office.
Ricky
Gervais managed to return to his role as David Brent for a 10-minute video where he gets roped into doing a music video.
Horse in boots.
You know, really, Ricky Gervais in The Office, they pioneered this whole uncomfortable, funny type of show. And I had forgotten just how good at it he was until I watched this 10-minute video that they produced for Comic Relief. And for those of you who maybe didn't watch it, the original Office from the UK lasted for 2 seasons, I think it was. And then they did like a Christmas special. And in that special, this was about 10 years ago, and it ended everything on kind of a nice, upbeat note. So you kind of left the series thinking, okay, they're all in kind of a good place. Everything's fine. But then you watch this 10-minute video and you realize David Brent, the character he plays, has just been on a downward spiral, selling cleaning goods now, but he's trying to manage a guy in music because music is his one real big passion. It's uncomfortable. It is awkward, and that is exactly what made that show so funny. And they were able to get it quite a bit of that in the American version, but unlike what they did in Britain, which is end it after 2 seasons, they just kept kicking that dead horse back up into life. And I think that's why people are now just having this horribly bad taste in their mouth over the show. This one did it right. It's a funny little 10-minute video. I highly recommend, if you're a fan of the show, check it out. It will make you, once again, kind of look away from your screen while you're listening to it because it's like awkward.
That's what he does best, man.
Yep.
He's good at that. Okay, let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
All right, we're looking at the releases for March 26th. First up, we've got Lincoln. Pretty much we all know the story of this one, but as the Civil War continues to rage, America's president struggles with continuing carnage on the battlefield as he fights with many inside his own cabinet on the decision to emancipate the slaves.
And they're vampires.
No, not wrong Abraham Lincoln.
Sorry.
This one stars Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln, as well as Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones. We reviewed this one on episode...
Tommy Lee Jones is kind of a vampire, dude. He's hanging in there. He's like 180 years old.
Did they make any of those jokes during the Oscars?
No, they should have.
He's doing Wilford Brimley-esque commercials now. He's practically dead.
Actually, it looks like Aaron is the only one that reviewed this one, although it was back on episode 69. He gave it a solid $9 out of $10. So
that would be Brian, I think, not me.
Was it Brian?
I'm
That was
pretty
Brian.
much the only one who saw Lincoln.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian.
I saw it, but I did not give it a 9.
I misread it. So Brian gave it a solid $9 out of $10.
Or maybe we both saw it. I don't know. Maybe I did give it a 9. I don't remember.
Maybe I should listen to the fucking show.
Maybe I shouldn't rely on the freaking website.
No, hey. I'm sure that's right. Whatever it says on there has got to be right because I did that.
All right, up next is Parental Guidance. Billy Crystal and Bette Midler star as Artie and Diane, who agreed to look after their 3 grandkids with their Type A helicopter parents, or while their Type A helicopter parents need to leave town for work. Problems arise when the kids' 21st century behavior collides with Artie and Diane's old school methods. You snore, but that movie did pretty well in the box office, if I remember correctly.
It did all right.
Like that means anything.
Killing Them Softly, the rare Brad Pitt flop sees a star play Jackie Cogan, an enforcer hired to restore order after 3 dumb guys rob a mob-protected card game, causing the local criminal economy to collapse. Unfortunately, none of us saw that one, and this might be a reason for that. But
I wouldn't say unfortunately, but go ahead.
And finally, The Collection, a man who escapes from the vicious grips of the serial killer known as the Collector, is blackmailed to rescue an innocent girl from the killer's booby-trapped warehouse. Aaron was the only one who saw this one, and I know that for a fact because I remember his review. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Brian. I did remember your review. He reviewed that one in episode 71, and he only gave it a $5 out of $10.
Mm-hmm. The Collector, much better movie.
Collector, not The Collection. As far as TV, Veep, the first season, which is the Julia Louis-Dreyfus HBO political comedy, also released on DVD and Blu-ray this week. With that, we'll move on to our flashback segment. This is where each week one of us hosts brings to the table a little-known or obscure movie that we'd like you, listeners, as well as the rest of us hosts to check out. And this week it's Justin's turn. So, Justin, what obscure movie do you have for us?
Well, I'm not going to do a movie. I was probably the first person on the show to actually do a TV show on DVD as a flashback, and every once in a while I like to go back to that, and that's what I'm going to do this week. I was reminded of this after all the Evil Dead talk and the Bruce Campbell talk about a show that I loved so much when it was on the air, and sadly it never got the ratings that it deserved, and so after the first season it was canceled. Fox, fuck you once again for canceling one of my favorite shows, but this one is The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. I'm not sure exactly what it was that threw people off. Was it that they just didn't know Bruce Campbell and didn't want to watch a show about him? Was it the fact that it was a Western, but it kind of had some sci-fi elements to it, if that's what was throwing them off? I don't know. But this was a fantastic show. It was created by Jeffrey Boehm, who wrote the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, and Carlton Cuse, who, of course, went on to create one of my favorite shows of all time, Lost.
Jesus Christ.
I always have to find a way to bring that show in.
Yes, you do.
But it's a show about a character named Briscoe County Jr., who is a Harvard-educated lawyer whose father is a sheriff and is killed while bringing in John Bly and his gang. After he's killed, the people that his father was kind of working for hire Briscoe County to try and find the men responsible for his father's death. It's a wacky show. It was a fun show. It had lots of little sci-fi touches to it, nice little steampunk elements. You've got, what was the name of the guy who was on The Addams Family? I'm not remembering the name of it.
John Aston?
Yeah, John Aston playing this wacky engineer guy. Lord Bowler, played by Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem.
So
a
awesome.
Fantastic show. It was funny, irreverent. It had quality production value. It was so much fun. And I own the DVDs.
So do I.
I still watch them on occasion. Mm-hmm. And I really wish that more people out there would give this show a chance. If you like your Westerns a little funky, give this show a try, because it's a little funky, but it's quality funky. And I really wish more browncoats who are Firefly fans would give this a try, because it does marry the sci-fi and the cowboy genre pretty well.
And it holds up too. Because
I
still watch every now and then too, and I have the whole set. My brother and I both love that show, and still go back to it. I love it.
My wife loves that show.
Briscoe County?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, your wife gets a couple extra points.
That's why she goes to movies with me, buddy.
And it's his father is played by R. Lee Ermey, who everybody remembers from Full Metal Jacket as the drill sergeant. I mean, the guy's he was only in that one episode. You occasionally saw his ghost in some other episodes, but it was fun. It was really, really fun. Please, people, go check it out.
How long did you say it lasted? How many seasons?
One.
It was only one season, but it's 27 episodes. Figure that
Half hour?
out.
No, they're an hour. Full
Really?
hour. Yep.
Yes, yeah, it was a 45-minute show.
It's a good show. And you can get it pretty cheap on the WB website.
Oh yeah, it's not out on Blu-ray yet. It's still just DVD, but it looks good, plays good, get it, funny. It's really great.
And before we move on to our From the Outside In topic, Bates Motel had their pilot. I saw it, Scott saw it, Brian saw it. Justin, did you see it or no? You just skipped it because it's not in second season yet.
I do want to see just the pilot, but I'm afraid if I do, I have this curse that it will kill the show before it gets a chance to go. But no, I actually do want to check out just the pilot, but I've heard nothing but good things.
Well, how it does is it basically, if you've never heard of Psycho, because I guess a lot of people haven't seen Psycho, it basically takes the characters from Psycho, and that's Norman Bates and his mother, who's actually, I don't know if she's technically a character, but
Mummy?
Yeah, Mummy. And basically puts them in a modern day setting. So even though the original movie happened in 1960, they transposed this family forward many, many decades in the future. Time machine, I'm guessing, DeLorean probably, to where Norman Bates' father has just died. 6 months later, they take the insurance money, and Mom buys a motel off the side of a small coastal town highway, and they move in. And this is basically the prequel to how Norman Bates became a crazy psycho who stitches up his mother and keeps her in the basement. That said, what did you guys think about the pilot? I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it because obviously it's still got 9 more episodes before the season's over. But from what I saw, it started off very, very smooth. I really like Vera Farmiga. How do you say her name? Farmiga? Whatever. As Norman's mom, I thought Freddie Highmore did a really nice job as Norman Bates. There's a really intense fucking scene in the show that I have never seen on cable. I just thought that was fucking wild. Took me completely by surprise. I didn't love the pilot, but some of the stuff in there I thought was really interesting and a different way to go. Mm-hmm. What about you guys?
Well, I don't watch as much TV as you guys do, and a lot of that is because when I watch them, I feel like they usually drag stuff out too much, and I get distracted by something on my phone or
by video games.
Book or no, I don't have any video games around where I'm watching TV. So this one, I was into it from beginning to end. I was really paying attention, and I was seriously surprised at how interested I was in this. And that's coming from somebody that's not as big a Hitchcock fan as you are. Don't get me wrong, I like his movies. I don't worship the guy like you do just because I didn't grow up with it. Mm-hmm. I want to see more, and I haven't seen a TV show that makes me want to see more in quite a while. Maybe Last Resort, but that got ruined by like the second or third episode for me.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see more, and I really hope this takes off. Especially, it's A&E, isn't it?
Yeah, it's A&E.
Yeah. And
Monday nights at 9 or 8 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, I check out the trailer, Justin. I know you're worried about this curse, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't want to talk it up too much, but give it a shot. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, kind of in I guess the same boat as Scott, so to speak. Been a fan of Hitchcock. I love the impact he's had on movies. That being said, I'm not nutty about him as Aaron is. I've got this recorded. I'm giving this as good of a shot as I possibly could any other show. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm really looking forward to it, especially with the enthusiasm that Aaron's got about it. It really kind of makes me want to watch it a little bit more. So, I mean, I'm anxious to kind of sink my teeth into this.
It's good. I'm telling you, halfway through the episode, it takes a really disturbing, just awful turn, and I would surprise the shit out of me. So,
yeah, pretty graphic.
Yes, pretty graphic. Like I thought it was on HBO for a second. So, all right, let's go to
Is there any incest?
There's some fucked up shit. This is some
Mommy
fucked
and
up
Sonny
shit.
looking a little too comfortable.
Just trust me, Justin. When you watch it, you'll know the scene. I don't even have to tell you what happens. So you'll get
All
it.
right.
Let's go to our From the Outside In topic. Listener Andrew R. sent us a suggestion. He said, should newer filmmakers and directors be handed such large franchises or high-budget movies such as Jurassic Park? What are some good examples of it working and also of it failing? The first thing that comes to mind, because I automatically go to failing, because that's just who I am, is John Landis for Beverly Hills Cop 3. Worst sequel in history, in my opinion. That man should never have been handed the reins to that franchise. And also Rob Cohen, when he took over the Mummy franchise, made that shitty fucking Tomb of the Dragon Emperor flick. It's like he had never even seen the previous two movies.
Those did get progressively worse.
What do you guys think? Do you think like independent directors should be handed giant franchises like this?
Well, it's one thing. I mean, if it's an independent director, but it's like if they've made independent movies, but if they've just only done, I mean, some of these people, I mean, there's been some pretty big. I mean, David Fincher was handed Alien 3. I don't know if that was quite a success or a failure. It's kind of middle of the road, probably leaning more towards failure in my book. But.
Man, I did not hate that movie. I actually enjoyed
Which
Alien
one?
3. Alien 3.
It was interesting, but I didn't like it.
Not near the original in Aliens, but I still thought it was a fun movie.
I've heard Fox had a lot to do with that. You know, the company kind of trying to steer a ship that the director's trying to steer, and you can't have two captains at the wheel.
Yeah, but I mean, you got guys who kind of made their name making either commercials and or music videos, like Michael Bay. He was handed Bad Boys. Mick G was handed Charlie's Angels. Both of those pretty good.
Yeah.
But then you got like a Joseph Kosinski who did Tron Legacy. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's, I guess my point is that there's just as many bad decisions out there as there are good ones. I mean, I think it's just, I was surprised, actually, to be honest with you, to find out how many good movies there were that were made by guys who are kind of given their first, their first quote unquote movie, real movie is a pretty big blockbuster.
That was kind of my point with all this. Doing that kind of thing is a risk, and saying that we don't want those kind of risks to be taken, and saying we don't want any risks to be taken. We want risks to be taken because for as many crappy sequels as there are, there's going to be good ones, like he's talking about.
But it's in a way, it really surprises me that Hollywood does this, because in an environment where there's so much money on the line, that you're going to give that range to somebody who's really not proven. That's a huge thing.
Gamble. But you think about it, for every like Brett Ratner you get for X-Men 3, I mean, you end up with Christopher Nolan in Batman Begins, who everybody doubted his pick for that when he was originally chosen, because he'd only done Memento and the Insomnia flick, and that's really about all he'd done. And he got so much grief, and now everybody hails him as the guy that saved Batman and pretty much saved DC Comics in general. I
think the bigger question with this kind of topic is what it does to you and your experience with the first movie, because it really drives me crazy when some people say things like, well, that ruined the older movies for me. You love Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop 2. You despise Beverly Hills Cop 3. Does that make you lessen, or does that make you not like Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 less because of the crappy...
No, not me.
And there's people that
but I'll never watch Beverly Hills Cop 3 again.
And that's fine. Don't watch the one that sucks. I don't really think that a comedy trilogy is something that people hold holy. You know what I'm saying? Something like we've been talking about the Jurassic Park movies. If he makes a mess of this one, is that going to ruin the original Jurassic Park for me? No, that movie still looks pretty good for being 15, 17 years old or whatever. It drives me crazy when people say that you make a sequel to a movie and that ruins my original enjoyment of the other movie, and I don't see.
Sometimes it can. I think sometimes it can take the magic out of it.
Like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that really. I mean, for somebody that adores the original trilogy, because I don't even count it as part of the series. I just don't, because I can't. Somebody that adores the first three films, all of them, all three of them, and then that came out. It just really. And that wasn't a different director. That was the same fucking guy involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, to drag this conversation back on point, that film was directed by Steven Spielberg, who he's done a few pretty successful films. So even hiring someone of his caliber does not guarantee you a fantastic film. Look at The Amazing Spider-Man. It was directed by the guy whose only other real work of note was 500 Days of Summer. And yet they hire him to do The Amazing Spider-Man, and he turns out a pretty goddamn good little film. Or Andrew Stanton, who is known mostly for CGI animated films. Now, granted, it didn't do well at the box office, but I thought John Carter was a goddamn good film. But they gave this guy, who had never directed a live action in his life, huge money in a big property, and I don't know. For me, it worked. For other people, it didn't. But it's a crapshoot no matter who you hire.
And there's just as many opportunities for a large-scale director to fail. Look at Raimi did Spider-Man 3. That's seen as one of the worst comic book movies of all time.
It's one of the most awkward
But the first
scenes.
two, whether you like it or not, Brian, is seen as some of the best comic book films of all time. So, I mean, really, any director can fuck it up. It's really the story, the studio. There's a million other factors. And I'll be honest, I don't want Spielberg to direct Jurassic Park 4, which I know a lot of people are talking about. I think he's past the fun adventure period of his life. I think he's past it. I think he's on to more serious adventures. I think he's on to more
Artiste.
yeah,
Should go direct Jesus or something.
something he should take on the Bible with aliens.
Oh God, yes.
You would like that. That'd be
I
great.
would. That'd be awesome.
Jesus comes back and he, ouch.
The Klaatu Barata Niktu.
And also, like I mentioned, we were talking about Jurassic Park earlier. We
funny.
talk about new filmmakers, new directors. When you get into these bigger budget movies like Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones and that kind of thing, you're not talking about something that's resting on the shoulders of one person anymore, as much as it was when they're making the smaller movies.
Yeah, there's a team. There's
It's
definitely a
much
team.
bigger team than when they're making these smaller movies, and it's not that person's single artistic vision or direction or writing style or whatever. You're talking about a huge team of people that are coming together, and many hands, or many, what is it? What's the saying? Many hands.
Steer the ship. Something like that. We'll just
Something
make up our
about
own saying. I like that.
Too many cooks.
Too
spoil
many
the-
cooks live in glass houses. What?
Well, here's one thing, Andrew, to your point. If you take this away from, if you like Marvel, watch how they've steered all of their franchises, and they've used small independent filmmakers that really have never had big budget. Jon Favreau, you've got Joe Johnston, who hasn't had a hit in forever. Kenneth Branagh for Thor. I mean, give me a break. They take a lot of chances on
And
their...
Joss Whedon. I mean, for fuck's sake.
And Joss
He'd only
Whedon.
directed one freaking movie.
Yeah, and it wasn't a hit. It was a flop.
And it wasn't a hit.
And they've taken all these guys and they've managed to make exactly what they wanted because they've got a team behind them. They've got the right group of guys, like Scott was talking about, to support those films. So, yes, Jurassic Park 4 could be fantastic, even with this guy, even if he's never directed anything, because it depends on the team that's behind him. So I have no doubt this will be fine.
And even if it doesn't work, I'm still going to love Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and when it comes out in 3D, I'm probably going to go see it.
Yeah.
Going to go see it.
Probably too.
Let's go to our other topic real quick, because we talked a little bit about Kickstarter last week, so we're going to revisit it because we've had actually several people have mentioned it because they heard the episode and the Veronica Mars movie has been an issue. But listener Tom B, he sent us a message, so I'm going to read that real quick. I feel Kickstarter is intended for the people and projects who truly have no means to give life to whatever it is they're working on, not to make it easier for a studio to release a marketable franchise with marketable names. Logically, if a Kickstarter campaign could raise $2 million in less than 2 days, we actually did it in 1 day, any studio could have approved of fronting the money in return for profit percentages. I disagree with that, but we'll get to that in a second. I guess what I'm trying to say is it bums me out that this is what people have decided to donate their money to, a project with people that anyone else could have paid for. There are a lot of good ideas on Kickstarter that sadly die on Kickstarter. A lot of potentially good movies envisioned by talented and innovative people who have no connections with Hollywood or big television and therefore truly have no chance at existence other than keen fan sourcing. So sure, $2 million for Veronica Mars movie is great and cool for the franchise's obviously loyal and passionate fan base, but these people would see the movie regardless, and the movie could have been made on that merit alone. Instead, that's $2 million that could have gone to truly independent crew with a truly unique and ambitious projects. And I do want to stress, Tom wanted to specifically say he had nothing against the property of Veronica Mars, he just has an issue with Kickstarter becoming more than what it was intended.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, you talked a little bit about that last week. Now, Justin, you had a point about this.
Well, and not to lambast Tom or, level all my guns on him, but the thing is that Veronica Mars, they have been, the people who love the show, have been trying to get something done with it for years, and no one at any studio wanted to have any talks about it at all. They weren't interested. They felt like a show that got canceled after 3 seasons didn't have enough of a fan base to warrant a film to be made of it. They'd gone to the studios and they'd gotten, bum rushed back out of the studios. I feel like what he and other people like him are trying to do is compare Veronica Mars and say, well, that's the same thing as if Marvel now wanted everybody to Kickstarter Avengers 2. You are talking about apples and oranges, folks. Veronica Mars, for as much as I and its other fans love the show, it had no hope in hell of getting a studio to front money for it. They hadn't for years and years and years. They even tried to do a small little mini series just to kind of see what they could do with it, and nobody was going to give them any money. The only reason he was able to do this Kickstarter is because he went to them and said, if I can get this money, will you back it? And they said, well, if you can get it, then we'll back it, because they weren't convinced at all that it could happen. It shocked everybody involved that it made the money that it made. It's up to $3.6 million now. I'm incredibly happy about that, because for me what this does is it proves that properties that studios don't have faith in can find a way to get to wherever they're going to go, the small screen or the big screen. If Marvel turned around or Disney turned around, or if they said, well, we're not going to do episode 7 unless we can do a Kickstarter and get everybody to front $200 million, then they would be absolutely right, because that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. The studio knows that they're going to make that money back. Don't put it off on us. But a $2 million goal for a small film based on a small franchise, to me, is not inappropriate to put on Kickstarter. And I think that this could be a good thing for a lot of people going forward. But what I don't want to see this turn into is suddenly every franchise that someone loves suddenly starting up petition letters saying, I want my Bruce Campbell to make my Briscoe County movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen.
That's what I'm worried about.
Let's not turn this into another way to push these people into doing projects that they don't have a chance of doing, don't have time of doing, that they don't own the property to do it with.
To Tom's point, to an extent, I do agree with him. I think Kickstarter was meant for the little people, to an extent. But I also think with anything, eventually it's going to grow and it's going to change and it's going to become bigger, because that's what happens when things become popular. I think it's that, it's mine mentality, which is when things are small and people, they love it because it's mine. It's kind of like a cult mentality, a cult movie mentality. That's mine. And then it becomes huge, and then, it's not so cool anymore because now everybody loves it. That's mine. Well, that's kind of what this has become, because they utilized it to make a movie that, like Justin said, would not have happened if it weren't for that. Trust me, there was no movement on that. That movie was dead. They've been trying to do it for 6 years now since the show went off the air?
When this came up, I was shocked that they were still trying this.
And I'll be honest, as a huge fan, I thought no fucking chance they've got of making $2 million.
They made it in a day, didn't they?
I didn't think they were going to make it at all.
Yeah.
Because of how it's been, you think you're the only fan after a while.
It's also important to point out too that small.
Well, hang on, let me finish my point,
okay, sorry.
Chief. So what I am concerned about, to an extent, is that, like Justin said, every single property that people want, because I've already seen a lot of people, what about Pushing Daisies? What about this show? What about bringing back Firefly? Joss Whedon had to go on the record and say, no, we're not going to do Kickstarter for Firefly, just because so many people were asking him about it. Or not at this time, at least. So, you've got all those people that are now they want everything. I'm just waiting for somebody to say they want MASH to come back or something. Something crazy that's been off the air forever. Just because, this worked, so let's do it for everything we like. And that's what I really worry about.
Why worry about that? What's the harm going to be? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
I agree with that. There's no harm to it, but what happens is it ends up diluting Kickstarter altogether. So for things like this to happen, for really passionate fan bases, if you get a lot of failed projects, they'll stop trying.
That's true.
When you're just going to piss off the creative people out there, the last thing I want is for Joss Whedon to get another reason to not do more Firefly stuff. Mm-hmm. And if this becomes another cause for people to start sending him tons of tweets and emails and pledges or whatever, then he's just going to get pissed off. I mean, the guy knows we love Firefly. He loves it. But he's got a schedule and he's got things he's doing. It's not like he's just kicking back drinking Mai Tais.
And it's not. I definitely don't want to go on another Joss Whedon kick. It's all kinds of shows. They're talking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Sarah Connor Chronicles, all kinds of different shows. Anything that's been canceled, they're thinking about doing a movie for. And I don't think everything lends itself to an adaptation. Veronica Mars was even kind of sketchy. I really just want to see the character continue. I don't think it got a fair shot. So I look forward to that. But I think it also would play as a movie. You know, some things I think they ran their course. Fringe, from what granted, I never really watched the show. But
It's done.
It's done. It's one of those things that ran its course. It's done. I hate to say it because I don't want to make Brian cry, but Lost. It ran its course. It's done. It doesn't need to be a movie. There's a lot of things that don't need to be. This is just one that I think it will work, and as long as people don't abuse it, Kickstarter will continue to be a fine property. And it is a great idea. I do think a lot of people abuse it. You know, you've got everybody and their mother asking for money to start whatever. But truly passionate, creative, artistic people will find a way to get the money to do their dream, and that's what it's for. But there are also larger projects that people would like to see continue, and that's also what it's for now. Now it's growing. Any closing thoughts? Brian doesn't even give a shit. He hasn't spoken in like 10 minutes.
I really don't.
I just think it's a little early for people to start nail biting over what is Kickstarter turning into. Let's just everybody calm down and breathe.
Absolutely. Now let's go to emails. Justin, you got the first one.
All right, hey guys, just some info. Hit Somebody, Kevin Smith's hockey movie, was converted into a television miniseries. He said repeatedly that he has one more movie in him, but struggled to cut his project down to standard movie length. He's also said that there is a network producing it, but stated he didn't want to blow the whistle on that in lieu of letting the company do that themselves when they're ready. Originally, Smith put the Clerks 3 idea to bed, but after Hit Somebody turned to a miniseries and his stipulation of having one more in him, his fans actually encouraged him to begin the script, which he said he has completely mapped out, but still had to put it into script form. As for Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie, I'll agree that the style of animation's piss poor, but hold your judgment until it comes out. You may not notice the animation over the shitty, enjoyable story it's bound to be. Benjamin A. So there you go. Clarification on why Hit Somebody is not his last film, but perhaps Clerks 3 will be. And I do want to see the super groovy cartoon movie. It's a shitty kind of animation style. It's that whole Flash kind of thing, but I've enjoyed little clips of it that I've seen based on his podcast. So I'll check. I would check that out as a movie.
Yeah, and our point, the funny thing is, I think several people took it as we were knocking Kevin Smith, and we weren't at all. We were just saying,
I am not.
I
love Kevin Smith.
I love Kevin Smith too, but he flip-flops all the fucking time. He changes his mind. I'm sorry, he does. Hit Somebody was going to be one movie, then it was going to be two movies, then it's going to be his last movie, then it's going to be a miniseries, now he's got, that's all we were saying. He likes to say declarative statements.
The Clerks 3?
I do. I love Clerks.
I'd see it.
I mean, I do too, but I mean, the second one was absolutely horrible.
You're wrong.
I like the second one.
You're wrong. I like the second one.
Whatever.
I didn't like the second one either.
Well, Justin and I can go see it together.
I like two scenes from
right.
Clerks 2, I think, and the rest of it wasn't even memorable.
Like the whole movie. Start to finish. Start to finish.
And I don't want to come across as a Kevin Smith hater. I love the majority of his movies.
Same here.
But I just thought Clerks 2 was way past any kind of sequel window that it had. And then 2, it just felt forced. It felt like it was just made just to be making it. Like he's trying to get his junkie Jason Mewes' freaking
no, that's
paycheck
Cop Out,
or
man.
something.
Cop Out was that movie. I didn't see that in Clerks 2. I really love Clerks 2.
And Jason Mewes is not a junkie anymore. He's in recovery and has been for a couple years now.
Yeah, Kevin Smith's the junkie now. He's like a pothead.
And I think Brian's been cock-blocked by pillow pants one too often.
That's what I'm thinking too.
The pussy troll.
All right, Brian, you've got a tweet.
Yeah. Tammy tweeted. She said...
Tammy tweeted.
She says, recasting Top Gun, I do agree about Zac Efron. The only one that shocked me was Skarsgård, but it was a good shock. The rest were predictable. I was anti-Efron for the longest time, but I've come to like him in movies. He has a certain charm.
She also said that assigned seating in her theater, she has assigned seating in her theater and she prefers it, because we talked about that last week.
Did we get any hate on the Zac Efron?
Not really, no.
Nope, that means everybody's in 100 agreement with me. So
I may get a little hate next week. We'll have to see.
No, Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, we'll see
no,
what he
Brian.
does.
Actually, I think you might have sold me on that one picture you emailed us.
Oh, Jesus. You did not sell me, sir. Mr. Anyone, he said Hit Somebody's being made into a miniseries by that Kevin Smith. Clerks 3 will be his last film. Hasn't wavered in that. I disagree completely. I think he's wavered several times, but that's neither here nor there. I still love Kevin Smith. Look forward to him finally making something as opposed to just podcasts. And he also sent best week of show outtakes ever because of Brian's "Fuck you, Whitey, fuck you," which was risque and hilarious. Now, how you can find us, stay to the credits for outtakes, thehollywoodoutsider.com, facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider, email us feedback at thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zune, not Google. Well, you can Google Reader until June. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com, Thursdays from 4 to 6. Guys, it has been a long fucking evening.
Yep. That's what she said.
Yes. Oh, Jesus. And Brian.
That's not what she said.
She did not. She never said that to you, Justin. Brian, thanks for being here.
Bye, y'all.
Justin McCumber, thanks for Minor Magic, which is available now at Amazon paperback and Kindle.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, as every week.
Oh, and Scotty Clark.
Thanks for having me, man, as always.
You never sound convincing when you say it. Remember, guys, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
You know what would have been a funny little ending after the credits? If the mothership would have landed. Aaron, I think your new Skype picture is even creepier than the last one.
What is it?
Sexy, that's what it is.
Looking all pasty and shit.
Bringing
Do they have
sexy
the sun up there?
Which picture is it,
What?
Aaron, your picture.
My picture looks good.
What picture is it?
I don't know.
No,
It's creepy looking, isn't it?
It looks good.
It's like, hey, kids.
For a commercial for to catch a predator.
I just...
Am I right, Brian?
Word to your mother.
That's right.
Justin, do you guys call
Did
him...
you really just do like a Vanilla Ice reference right there? Is that you, Brian, typing?
I'm typing.
I think Brian types with his dick.
He just slaps it on the table.
Thank God for spell check, because otherwise I'd.
Do you guys call them buggies down there?
What?
Shopping carts?
Call what?
Buggies? Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort. Yeah.
Because when I lived in
Is
Florida...
that bad?
No. I just nobody. Because when I
is that some kind of racial term I'm not yet aware of?
I was talking about race.
Because I thought I knew.
I just don't want to roll up into Walmart going, "Hey, where's the buggies at?" And then get the